Okay, there we go. All right, so let's start. So the Fedora GUI and Islandora, a librarian's perspective. I do have to say I've had some really wonderful conversations while here at DLF, the Digital Library Federation Forum, about this, and we had a really nice Islandora kind of meet and greet yesterday. And this was mentioned, and yeah, so I think that it gave me a lot more content and encouragement for this presentation. So I hope you all like it. Um, okay, so to start, what we can or should do for Islandora users, um, things that some of us already do, or some things that folks wish they could do, but they're not quite sure how, include viewing the versioning data. That's something that I know we use at Vassar. We love being able to see the various versions of our records. Checksum data review, derivative management from original files, finding any zombie or orphan assets or records. And we know that there's probably more. And we would love to hear like what we should be able to do. What are we unaware of that would really make our lives as digital library managers easier? So there are a few shortfalls for Islandora users with the GUI. We can't search by ID or title or date or year in the same way that other users can. There is no parent-child relationship. Islandora throws everything in to one big bucket. It's really flat. The IDs created by Drupal are not useful in Fedora. We do have a DC Terms ID, but we can't search that either. There's no fixity value in the child record. You have to drill down to the media in our records to find the checksums. And so there's no direct media connection to the child. Also, many of us just have no idea how to use the command line for tasks. We're always told by dev teams, oh, just go to the command line. You can do all these things super easy. But when we're in relationships where we're working with our campus IT who is hosting, or we're working with a vendor who's hosting, we often aren't given the tools to know even where to access the command line, or even if we did, we're nervous about like, how do we do it? Will we wreck anything? So there's a bit of a vagueness there that I would love to see kind of cleared up for folks so that we do know the full breadth of things that we could do with Fedora. But most of us just try to do what we can with the GUI. So having it improved would be really great for our community. So how has Vassar strengthened the Fedora Islandora relationship? So we've tried to mitigate some of these issues so that we can still really leverage the value of Fedora as part of our preservation toolkit. So we have links to the Fedora URI with every single Islandora the GUI is needed. Our naming conventions reflect the parent-child media relationship, so we are able to pull all those through. It's a little, but it is possible. And also we make sure that we use archival media formats in Islandora because it is a preservation tool. We don't want to put access copies in there as our original files. We want to make sure we have our TIFFs, JP2s. So it is truly cool. So first, toward improvement. Some great discussion with Aaron and Dan in January. A couple starters be possibilities to make Islandora use like the GUI. So
Oh no, technical pause. I'm sure she'll come back. Thank you everybody for your patience. We just lost her. We'll just hold a minute, and what I'll do actually, while Nicole is on her way back, I do want to make a little pitch here for, oh, you're back. There we are.
okay. My computer decided to connect to my phone, so it knocked me
Oh
off the deal
no.
and connected me to this one. So I am so sorry.
No, that's
This is what
totally
happens
fine.
when you try to do things live from a conference. Um, so let me get back to my, again, I opened the wrong window. Back to my slides. Okay, so I think, Erin, where did I, was at the beginning of this
You were
slide, did
talking
I
about
drop
the
off?
yeah, the conversation between you, Dan, and myself.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we had this conversation and we did figure out that the identifier search in the GUI was looking for the Fedora ID, but we were using Drupal, so that wasn't possible. But if we were to add DC terms identifier and DC terms title, Islandora users would have a better search experience. But there are concerns with this. It could increase OCFL table size and also the time to reindex. There were also questions about whether or not this would be useful for folks outside the Islandora community. Who else would benefit from having these search terms added, which would be great to hear if anyone does feel this would be useful after the presentation. Also to add a like type field instead of the equals for a fuzzy search. This would be great to be able to search for assets by year and not having to figure out the exact time that asset was created.
Are you, sorry, Nicole, I know that you
Yeah.
got split off your laptop. Are you just going to do an audio? There's no slides.
Oh,
So
crud. Okay.
that's okay.
I've been okay. Sorry.
No, that's
Um,
okay. I know it's like a little bit of
Let
technical
me go back
issues
to
from
Zoom.
the
I'm
hotel.
so sorry. I thought the slides had shared.
Don't worry about
I
it.
feel so bad. This recording is going to be horrific. Okay, I may have to redo the
Well,
recording and send it to you.
that's no
Um,
problem.
all right. This is why I should have pre-recorded. All right, so let me get back to slides.
We appreciate you
Okay.
being here.
Basically,
There
the
you go.
slides are just me, like what I'm saying. So considerations before including Fedora in your Islandora stack, or if you're wondering, do we still need it? Should we not use it? So what is your current preservation strategy for Islandora assets? Really think about that. How can Fedora be a preservation tool among many that you're already using? Or maybe you don't have any, and this would be a good option for you. Um, do you have any preservation workflows in place? And if you do, are the file structures aligned with your Islandora collection hierarchies? Would you be able to rebuild those relationships in another system, or restore them in the one you're using? Do you have a platform agnostic method to restore or move your Islandora assets? That's where OCFL comes in. Are there asset management tasks you cannot perform in Islandora that Fedora is capable of? And then I have a quote from the OCFL website. The versioning schema ensures that the object is robust enough to allow for the discovery of human errors. So what human errors are you possibly not seeing in Islandora that you could find in Fedora, such as maybe some zombie assets that aren't really connected to anything and they're taking up storage? So the future of Fedora and the Islandora integration. Um, we really need to build a community of users. We need to find out who is using Fedora in their Islandora stack and how can we come together and make sure that our voices are heard, that we share each other's successes and failures and be able to work from that and help each other. We do have a Fedora channel on the Islandora Slack for us. And I'd love to see some more activity on that channel so that we can share just what we're doing. How are we using Fedora? Why? Why are you thinking that you don't need it, or what are your frustrations with Fedora? This is the place to share that information. We need to ensure that Fedora continues to have integration capabilities with Islandora, and that integration improves. We do have in the Islandora Foundation strategic plan a mention that we will support continued integration with Fedora, but what does that look like? We need a better understanding, a proof of concept potentially that OCFL will work as we envision for Islandora. So OCFL recommends storing metadata and content it describes together so the OCFL object can be fully understood in the absence of the original software. Is this happening? How do we see it in action? How do we know that this is happening? And finally, we need to inform the Islandora community on both the benefits and the shortfalls of Fedora, especially when new users are investigating migration or implementation options for modern Islandora. Do you need it for preservation or not? If you need it for preservation, then there's a strong argument that you should include Fedora in your stack. But I think that these conversations are going to become harder and harder to find, or this ability to even know Fedora can be part of the stack as folks move towards online or cloud versions of Islandora. It may not even be an option. But we need to have these conversations. We need to continue talking about it. So I have some final thoughts. Here's my contact information. Let me stop the share just a second. Just so I did write something as my final thoughts, just so I would have it clear in my mind. So we're at a crossroads as our Islandora development resources begin to diminish and finances tighten. In times like this, preservation is often short-sightedly discarded in order to maintain access simply and affordably, but a price will be paid down the road. There is a great potential in the relationship between Islandora and Fedora to provide the checks and balances digital library managers need to ensure the accuracy and sustainability of the digital assets we provide access to. The problem is we are not quite there yet. Now is not the time to give up. We need to come together as a community to lift the veil on the vague promises of this relationship and work to make them a reality. We need to bridge the gap between the developers and the digital library managers to find a common language for our questions to be answered and our hopes for Fedora as a valuable preservation tool to be realized. I have great faith this can be done and implore anyone that is currently using Fedora in their Islandora modern stack or considering it to join me in the Islandora Slack Fedora channel. So let's work together. Let's share our stories and concerns, and let's make this happen. And that's it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for also navigating all of those technical challenges. But I would +1 to the let's continue this conversation, and let's see how we can work together to kind of bridge that gap and see what we can do to support all users, right? That's always been our focus.
And thank you to everyone that hung in there while I was having technical difficulties. I appreciate you staying on.
I'm going to share information on the LACLAM interest group also just in the Slack channel.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I have it here. Any questions for Nicole?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice presentation, important thought. I think Fedora is necessary in Islandora as a backend if we need to do the things, we need to have long-term preservation. So that's why I think without Fedora, it would be much work than with Fedora. No, we've already investigated the possibilities how to use Islandora without Fedora, and to have a long-term preservation, to have AIP or archival information packages and such things. I think Fedora could do a lot of work, a lot of good work for us. So I think to not use Fedora, it doesn't make sense in terms of long-term preservation or such things. This is just my thoughts.
I completely agree. Yeah. Thank you.
I do still have a remark on another topic. You said in the beginning that you're missing some features in Islandora dealing with statistics. So, and because the librarians were not able to use the command line. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah. In another field beyond Fedora, we are or we were facing that problem as well. So I was often asked by librarians, I've got some sort of instruction from a publishing house to download their data by curl or so, and they always came to the IT department. But that happens so often. Then I said to a colleague, when these librarians are able to put in data in very complex command lines environments, why should they not learn the Unix command line? And so we did. With now we're doing this for 6 or 7 years, and with lots of success. Not everyone is able to do that, and not everyone is willing to learn that, but it's possible. So I always encouraging people to try this out.
Thank you. That's very encouraging. And it's having people like you that are willing to make those connections and make sure
Yeah.
folks can learn it. And that's where a lot of us are kind of lost because
Yeah.
we're not quite sure who to ask, or whether or not some of us, I'm sure, have vendors that are not even sure we'll let them. So it's a very kind of odd area that we're trying to navigate.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the discussion, everybody. And thank you again, Nicole, for joining us from DLF. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,